following up an inquiry from the website around residential fees, and particularly around concern about if someone has to sell the family home or not. And you know, usually it's the largest asset that someone's probably got, and a lot of emotion attached. So can you talk us through whether someone does or doesn't, or what that means for people?
Sure. Look, it's another great question, Whenua. We're at Family Aged Care Advocates. You know, I get asked that question all the time with people and families. You know, someone has to move into permanent care, and what do we do? What do we do with the home? When you're moving into permanent care, when someone's moving into permanent care, there's a cost attached to that, you know. So when you move into permanent care, there's a cost for the room that you're going to live in, and there's also a cost to the care fees that you're going to pay. So, and sometimes it can be quite expensive. You know, when you look at room hire, or rooms in permanent care can be 300,000, 350,000, $500,000. So big numbers. So the first thing to think about there, the first thing to think about there is if it's a couple and one is moving into care and the other one's staying at home, there's some things that the family and the couple really need to think about when it comes to that. So when someone moves into permanent care and they leave a loved one at home, how's that other person at home going to cope? You know, are they going to stay there on their own? Are they going to be able to look after themselves? Do they need any care that might have to come into the home? If it's care coming into the home, will it be family members that will provide that care, or do we have to look at care providers? So there's some decisions that the family have to make. Yeah, sorry, Whenua?
Sorry,
yeah.
So it's not just a financial decision, is it? It's got a host
That's right.
of factors involved.
So that's exactly right. So there's you know, lots of things to think about. The other thing to think about when one person moves into the care and the other one stays at home, how are they going to see each other? Does that person drive to the aged care facility? Do they catch public transport? Will family take them? So there's a lot of things to consider there. Also, when one person's left at home on their own, do they really want to live in that home anymore? Like, should they be thinking about maybe downsizing the home? So when there's a couple and one moves into care, there's a number of choices that a family have to make. When it comes to it's just one person living in the home and they move into permanent care, we get asked this question all the time. What do we do with the home? Should we keep it vacant? Should we rent it? Or should we sell it to pay for the room? Each of those choices that families and people make or can make has a consequence in terms of what that means in terms of their age pension, and also what that means in terms of their aged care fees. So at Family Aged Care Advocates, we sit down with families and we actually take them through those decisions and show them what that looks like. Yeah. So that's the financial decisions that families have to make and people have to make. But there's also another very important decision that families and people have to make, and that's what you touched on, Whenua, and that is selling or renting the family home of 40 years that they've been married in for 40 years and they've grown their family up. There's a lot of emotion tied up in those decisions as well. So people and families really need to sit down and have some really deep conversations about how they would feel about that. You know, how would they feel about renting the family home out, or how would they feel about selling the family home? So all very difficult questions, all require a bit of forethought and a bit of planning. But the bottom line is when someone moves into permanent care, no, they don't have to sell their home. There's a number of other options that are available to them. And that's what we do at Family Aged Care Advocates. We take people through that and we show them what those options look like in terms of their pension, in terms of the aged care fees they're going to pay, and in terms of the cash flow that they need to maintain whilst they're staying in permanent care.
Okay, well that's good to know, because I'm sure many people are quite anxious and worried about having to sell that very important asset that they may well have. But also good to bear in mind that it's not just about the finances and there's a lot of thought that needs to go into the actual needs from a care point of view also, potentially.
Absolutely.
Okay. That was really helpful.